La di da di da di da di dooby 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 da.
Today, we're doing a little bit of a more sophisticated kind of stuff in zinc. So this is more like my kind of style, because I'm a sophisticated guy. Feast your eyes on something beautiful. Woodford Reserve, Kentucky straight chuffing. Bourbon, you know what I mean? On the palate, the old chuffing pink wriggler. Rich, chewy, round and smooth. I knew a girl like that once, actually. And as it chuffing wraps its chuffing sits in, silky, smooth, creamy, long, warm and satisfying. I knew a bloke like that once, you know. But I don't like to talk about it. Hello, sunshines, sweethearts. Welcome to another installment. The old Big Al, the old Chuffing Whiskey Monger. Welcome to the Chuffing Wine Bar. We've done a couple of episodes from Chuffing Barrel Room, and we've done some in Dungeon and what have you, so we thought we'd come back to the Chuffing Wine Bar. A little bit more sophisticated, because today we're doing a little bit of a more sophisticated kind of stuff in zinc. So this is more like my kind of style, because I'm a sophisticated guy, as you can chuffing tell. You know what I mean? But basically, what a disastrous chuffing morning. Coming home, driving home from work last night, ready for bloody weekend. There's been all these yellow warnings about chuffing snow and all this kind of chuffing shit. And then it's not materialised. But I'm driving home, warning light comes on. Chuffing saying that tyre's a bit chuffing flat. So I had to really, really cautiously drive home. And constantly I'm thinking, this could be a bloody disaster. But I kept on going because I don't chuff it A1. Only just had a pop tyre about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Went over a chuffing, this great big massive 6-inch chuffing nail. That went straight chuffing tyre. So I had to shell out for that. And then this bloody thing got MOT in some chuffing weeks. So I took it to this place in half anyway. 130 chuffing quid in gold blood. Honestly, should have seen chuffing smiles on their faces when they see me walking in first thing in the morning. Chuffing, rubbing the chuffing hands together. But the car, if you think about it, it's like having a chuffing pet, isn't it? Or another family member. You know how you'd have to take somebody who was ill in your family to hospital? Or you might have to take a pet to the chuffing vets if you've got like a pooch or a bloody tortoise or a chuffing goldfish or something. Well, a car's like that, isn't it? It's constantly costing you a bloody fortune, half a chuffing time. But I thought we'd come to the the wine room today because, instead of barrel room, because we're doing something a bit sophisticated today. A bit like me, this is the kind of whiskey that represents my kind of chuffing vibe. Because you know I'm a very sophisticated kind of guy, you know that. You know I'm sophisticated. But this had a particular close kind of resonance with my chuffing dad's arm. My dad liked this one, so we're going to get straight into it. No chuffing faffing about. Straight in on this beautiful chuffing Friday morning. Feast your eyes on something beautiful. Woodford Reserve, Kentucky straight chuffing. Bourbon, you know what I mean? This is in the kind of limited edition festive covering. This particular one, as you can see, I've nearly sucked half of it, just under half of it. I've drunk it neat. I've drunk this many times before in it passed, but this particular bottle in here, I've drunk it neat. I've had it in Chuffing Godfathers with Destilado. And I've made also some smoky old fashions out of it because I've been also using Buffalo Trace. And I've also been using Old Forester. Now, the Old Forester and the Buffalo Trace, I'm not saying they're identical to them bourbons, but the profiles of them are close enough that in the usage of using them in a smoky old-fashioned, they're quite similar. This one's way different. This is a way different drink, much sweeter. They're all good bourbons, to be honest. But this is a sweeter kind of chuffing profile. Right, I'm going to read you a little bit of bloody gubbins about this bad boy here. Right, Woodford Reserve is a brand of small batch Kentucky straight bourbon, distilled at Woodford Reserve Distillery in Woodford County. Oh, bloody Woodford's there, aren't they? Jesus. By the Brown Foreman Corporation. When it says Brown Foreman, I don't know if it's two guys, one called Brown and one called Foreman. I don't know if it's a foreman, someone who's in charge of something brown. I'm confused. But it's won 13 gold medals, an egg whisk and 2 oven-ready chickens. So it's something classic. This is a good well-respected Kentucky State chuffing bourbon. It says Brown Foreman are also the owners of the Old Forester, which we did last time. Jack Daniels, plus also Glenn Dronach, Ben Riach, Glenn Glassow, Ella Fitzgerald, Ben Kingsley, and Irish Whiskey Lane. So they own a lot of chuffing nice whiskies, and obviously some singers and some actors as well. On the beak, on the shank of the old chuffing coats and nostrils, meant to be rich dried fruit, minced oranges, cocoa, faint vanilla and tobacco chuffing spice. On the palate, the old chuffing pink wriggler, rich, chewy, round and smooth. I knew a girl like that once actually. Citrus, cinnamon, cocoa, toffee, caramel, chocolate and spice. And as it chuffing wraps, its chuffing sits in. Silky, smooth, creamy, long, warm and satisfying. I knew a bloke like that once, you know. I don't like to talk about it. Right, the mash bill is 72% corn, 18% chuffing rye, and 10% malted chuffing barley. Right, let's get a chuffing poured in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a bloody slopped in. Ooh, hear that? We're going through chuffing pearly, guys. You know the chuffing score, ladies and gentlemen. You know the score. Little chuffing drop there, just a little bloody drop. My low ball chuffing tumbler. Cut crystal low ball tumbler, bought for me many months ago by my beloved mother and father-in-law. Very nice. Don't you can't hear crystal, can you? There you go. Proper crystal, mate. I can't hear it, so you can't hear it. Right. Left nostril, right nostril, belly bin, Baileynitis, round the old chuffing Donald Trump. Let's get chuffing involved with this bloody Distillers Select Woodford Reserve Kentucky State chuffing bourbon. Don't really say a lot on the bottle, but I've told you enough chuffing shite about it, so let's get bloody involved. Right, on the old chuffing nose. Only trouble with these, I mean, I like drinking my American whiskies, aren't these, but they're not as good for the nosing. They're not as good for on chunk, you know what I mean? You're better off having those like kind of tulip or Glencairn shaped chuffing glasses, you know what I mean? But it'll bloody do. I can smell it enough. I've not got a collar in. I get me chuffing nose a bit further in. All right. You can tell definitely it's a bit of spice on end. You can tell it's very sweet, and it is very sweet. I've had this before, and I know the chuffing score. Definitely some fruit there, some nice chuffing fruits. I don't know about, yeah, no, I know what it means. They say mint. I can definitely smell like herbal. It cuts through quite well in middle ground. Secondary kind of smell. And it says tobacco spice. You can smell the spice. But it smells good. It's inviting. You know what I mean? It's not off-putting. It's not too strong. But even in this glass, I can smell it enough. So, cheers. Let's get it chuffing out. Round the old chuffing pink ring, round the old chuffing tonsil. Let's see how we go with the bloody thing. It's drying. It has a drying effect at first. You know, you can feel it like almost like drawing all moisture off your mouth. But once you've swallowed it, tongue starts chuffing tingling, and then your mouth is awash with moisture. You really start to chuffing salivate with it. So it's a juicy mouthfeel that cuts through in 2 or 3 chuffing different phases. Drying effect followed by re-moisturising the old chuffing gob trap, you know what I mean? Really nice. Sweet, let's have another little sip. Because, you know, I always see this one as a very sweet one. There we go, chuffing a salted fruit bowl here. Sorry, bloody banana and orange. But yeah, on the second one, sweet, spicy. You have to think about where it's a salty in your chuffing palate. This is one way that I use to kind of describe the flavours. Obviously, sweet is at the tip of the tongue. You've got your savoury all over. You've got your kind of salty and all that kind of gubbins around chuffing, you know, sour round sides, then bitterness at the back. You're not going to get any bitterness with this chuffing thing. You don't get bitterness with that many whiskies, to be honest. Nice little chuffing drop. Like I say, plenty of fruit, plenty of vanilla. Goes on about, it's a pack of spice. One last little chuffing swig. It's my day off, I might as well get chuffing pissed. Session whiskey. I would say this one, it puts me in mind of that kind of whiskey more like a, not necessarily with its profile, but with its like kind of status. It's like a maker's mark, where it's just a little bit of a step up, a subtle step up above the generic. That's no offence against the generic. There's a lot of really, really important, significant, well-known whiskey connoisseurs and tasters that their dram of the day is quite often a blended Scotch. You know, it's not always malt whiskies and all the high-end fancy stuff. That's what I like about whiskey. I don't think there's any other spirit that comes close to matching it in terms of its the variety that you've got at your disposal. There was a guy, I was watching him, I can't remember his name, an English gentleman, very well spoken, and he was doing like a conference on how, you know, how to taste whiskey and smell whiskies and all this kind of stuff in gubbins. And he was on about this kind of thing. He says, you know, a vodka's a vodka. You know, somebody who's really into the vodka is going to know difference. I know the difference between like a Zabrovka or whatever, you know, that bison grass chuffing stuff where buffaloes have been pissing all over the grass and then you sup it, all that stuff. And your other vodkas, you know, your bloody blue, is it sapphire, bloody blue sapphire? I don't bloody know. Shows how much you know about vodka, but they primarily take on the taste or whatever you chuffing. You're not going to drink a vodka and eat, really. Not unless you're just a complete chuffing wino, you know, chuffing deadbeat on a bloody park bench somewhere. No offence. Like I've said before in previous episodes, I could end up being that chuffing deadbeat. You just don't know what life's got in store for you. But whiskey, different whiskies for different occasions. A whiskey that I know, if you're on holiday, I'm only saying this if you're on holiday, not if you're going to chuffing work or driving. But if you're on holiday, there might be a certain kind of whiskey that's perfect when you get up first thing in the morning. There might be another kind of whiskey that's perfect as an aperitif or a set of ear cuffs or a bloody ear vein. You know what I mean? And then you get those whiskies that after dinner whiskies, because they've got to, your palate changes. Have you ever drunk a whiskey? This is a comment at whiskey drinkers, presumably who's watching this. Have you ever had a whiskey and had a certain kind of idea about it? And then from the same bottle, so it's not even like kind of batch difference, from the same chuffing bottle, a few days later, you've drunk it again, it tastes completely different. Depends what condition your palate is in that, what you've been eating, how hydrated you are, how you've slept, what kind of health you're in, if you've got any kind of particular fundamental taste on your tongue at that time, which is resonating in a positive or negative way with the chuffing, pre-mentioned chuffing beverage. All sorts of chuffing shite can happen. So that's what I love about it. You know, it's mysterious and it's intriguing. It's like a chuffing journey of discovery. You know what I mean? But yes, this one, the Woodford Reserve, I would definitely recommend it. It's a beautiful presentation, beautiful bottle. It's got a good reputation. Even the connoisseurs like it for what it is. It's an everyday dram of a little bit above generic average quality. It's a good whiskey. You know, as you can see, it's one bloody 13 gold medals, for God's sake, you know what I mean? Even Carl Lewis didn't do chuffing that. Even Michael bloody Phelps didn't do that much, I don't think. Right, we're just going to let's have a little bloody set. Well, we're going to see what else I'm going to chuffing boys and chuffing tears with. So, little section at end here, I'm just going to say before I basically sign off. This is a new section where some of my chuffing subscribers, they've chuffing basically wrote in and they've commented on certain things. This one is called People They Know or Knew. So this is people that watch my channel who are also subscribers, send this information in about people they know and knew. Interesting little anecdotes or stories or little bits of chuffing this, that, and chuffing up it. You know what I mean? Why not? Right, first one is a fella called Bartholomew and he's from chuffing Crapstone. And he says, I used to know a Irish lumberjack called Rory O'Quill. He says he spent 8 hours a day pushing trees back up. So that sounds quite interesting. Susan from Sandy Balls, Hampshire, used to know a fella called Alberto Chuffing Fresco. Good old Al Fresco. We didn't see him very often because he was chuffing agoraphobic. And Johnny, she also knew a guy called Kevin, who apparently, I've never heard anything like this before, ladies and gentlemen. This is a shocker. This is chuffing up there. Apparently this guy called Kevin, he had 2 chuffing penises. And she says he didn't have foreskins, he had 8. And then Johnny Shonker from Bellend, Worcestershire, used to be friends with a girl called Catherine Turr, good old Capital. He says she was lovely, but they had to part company because she had an annoying habit of randomly, all of a sudden, out of the blue, trying to insert small plastic tubes up his chuffing penis. You can't have somebody like that in your life. You'd be constantly walking around with your chuffing sore toes. It'd be worse than chuffing balanitis. So that has been sent to me by my chuffing subscribers, and I thank them very much. And I like to say chuffing adios, bloody amigos. And I will catch you on the next chuffing instalment of the chuffing Big Owl chuffing whiskey monger. Peace.